Rivington Pike Moorland in Lancashire are Rivington Terraced Gardens, which were built in the early 20th century by Lord Leverhulme, one of the great industrialists of his day. But by the 1920s, it had become neglected and eventually returned to nature. Today, however, the charity Groundwork are repairing the gardens in association with the Rivington Heritage Trust. However, this forgotten landscape has become the perfect environment for a whole host of fungi to run riot.
I've come to delve into the soil and look at the unique conditions which have allowed fungus to proliferate here.
I'm meeting Colin Unsworth, an amateur mushroom enthusiast who's been given special permission today to show me around and pick some mushrooms.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Do you know, I haven't seen these for years and years and years. They're like the classic fairy tale mushroom, aren't they?
They're beautiful. They're absolutely stunning.
And this is fly agaric, right?
Fly Agaric, yeah. I'm just going to pick one of them just to show you the identification features. I'll pick a nice. So you can see it's kind of got this bulbous, swollen base, and then we've got like a floppy ring underneath.
Okay, yeah.
The white gills, this tells me what family of mushrooms it's in.
Now, notice you're handling that quite freely, but it is a poisonous mushroom.
Give your hands a wash before you eat anything. But yeah, I'm fine to handle this thing and then put it back down again.
What is it about this place, this space, that's made it such a rich ground?
Because of the derelict period, we've got all the leaf fall, we've got lots of standing dead wood, you've got wood rotting away on the floor, and it just creates a really rich environment, good soils.
I noticed back there's an oyster mushroom just growing on the side of a log, which looks quite stunning.
Yes, really interesting species, oyster mushrooms. So you know that the fungi kingdom is, biologically and evolutionary speaking, it's more closely related to the animal kingdom than the plant kingdom.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's not a plant. And the oyster mushroom is quite interesting because it's a carnivorous mushroom. It traps and feeds off nematode worms.
Wow.
That's one of its food sources.
So literally a mushroom is eating animals. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
That's extraordinary.
And this beautiful sort of tract here of crust fungus. So there's a few different species that grow in this sort of manner on the side of trees. We get polypores and crusts, and this is one of the
It's beautiful. It's lovely to see it making its way up.
Yeah.
Up the stem.
Yeah. You know what this is, don't you?
Yes, indeed. This is honey fungus, isn't it? This is the destroyer of gardens, potentially.
It is kind of viewed as the gardener's nightmare. It's a parasitic fungi. There's a few different species, but this is the common one. And it does a really good job of taking out anything that's got a weakness in it. Let's have a look a bit closer. There we go. So you can see the stem coming down, sort of nice brown colour on the stem. And this is the underside, the ring. Gills are one of the identifying features of different mushroom species. And you can see with these that the gills are running in and attaching to the stem. And up on the top, you just get a few tiny little speckles on top in the middle there as the cap opens out, and that lovely sort of honey colour.
I'm aware one of the other sort of identifiers are these black bootlaces people describe.
There are. And these bootlaces can grow at a rate of up to about 1 metre a year. So this is why, if it becomes a problem, it can be, quite troublesome.
So I suppose the only approach that gardeners can take, and I've certainly done in the past, is to select some of those woody species, trees and shrubs, that are that bit more resilient.
Yeah. There are species you can choose which resist honey fungus better. The usual advice is just let it take its course.
Gardeners are often keen to remove mushrooms from their borders or from their lawns, but actually they're vitally important to the health of the soil. A lot of mushroom species are able to break down plant material and thus return nutrients and minerals to the earth, ready for other plants to uptake. Mushrooms are the only species which are capable of breaking down the lignin in woody plants. And so without them, we just end up with huge piles of plant material everywhere.
Some mushrooms engage in what's called a mycorrhizal relationship with plants. Mycorrhizas help the plants gather more water and nutrients than they would on their own. One of these fungi is the blackening rustler.
I mean, this is a real beast of a mushroom, but it's actually only a tiny proportion of the whole organism, isn't it?
Yeah, the actual organism spreads out in the soil. You don't see it for most of the year. What it does under the ground is it kind of wraps itself around the tree roots. So if you were to extract the tree roots, you'd see this sort of white coating all over them. And basically what it does is it helps the tree to get as many nutrients as possible out of the soil. And it gets a few things back in return for that, so they kind of benefit each other. So a mycorrhizal fungi, for example, you can grow a tree without that mushroom, but with that mushroom it'll grow so much better and so much more healthy, and yeah, it'll survive a lot better, yeah.
Just a few mushrooms are villains in our garden, but the vast majority have a really important part to play. They're part of the eco-web, which is essentially the interdependence of plants, animals and fungi. And as such, they're absolutely vital to the health of our green spaces and, of course, our gardens.